Hi, I'm Ken Gutman, Superintendent of Walled Lake Schools. It is a pleasure to work beside the 1,300 plus employees who are here to serve our more than 14,400 students and their families. Together and collectively, we strive to make decisions that meet the educational needs of every child, every day. I want to give you an overview of our projected Walled Lake Schools 2016-17 budget. To help me present this information, I'm fortunate to have with me Mrs. Terry Less, our Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. Welcome, Mrs. Less, and thank you so much for helping me explain our budget.
Thank you, Mr. Gutman.
For most of the last decade, we've been in a budget reduction mode as a result of declining revenue as a result of persistent declining enrollment. Can you show us the enrollment history and explain why we're experiencing a decrease in our student population?
There are many factors in enrollment decreases. As you can see from our enrollment history, in 2011-12 school year, we peaked at about 15,500 students. In this school year, we are at approximately 14,400 students. Our demographics have changed. The average age of Walled Lake homeowners is 51.3, while the average of neighboring South Lyon homeowners is 38.
Is the declining enrollment going to continue for us?
Unfortunately, yes. As we can see from the projected enrollment chart, it is predicted that we will continue to lose students for the next 5 years.
So I guess the bigger issue is when we experience enrollment declines, clearly we experience revenue declines as well. Can you talk about how these two work together?
For every student that we lose approximately $8,300. The impact over the next 5 years is projected to be nearly $10 million. As well, we have had stagnant funding with our state foundation grant declining from $8,822 per pupil in 2006-07 to our current amount of $8,315.
And so what does this mean for the 16-17 school year?
Mr. Gutman, with the projected enrollment loss of 250 to 300 students for the 16-17 school year, combined with expiring concessions from our employee groups and the one-time receipt of revenue from the property sales of Maple and Twin Beach, we are projecting budget reductions of between $6.5 to $7.1 million.
With 85% of our expenditures being spent on salaries and benefits for the more than 1,300 employees of our district who provide exemplary educational programs and services to our children and our families, and fixed costs such as supplies, utilities, and other necessary expenditures to operate our schools, how can we reduce our costs?
Unfortunately, with the depletion of our fund balance over the years and declining enrollment, even the state per pupil increase of the proposed $60 per student, budget reductions are necessary for the 2016-17 school year. Some of the things that we have done include privatizing both the custodial and transportation services. We have reduced more than 500 other positions in every area of the district. We've closed 2 buildings and arranged the sale of those properties, institutionalized pay-to-participate fees for athletics. We even have parents paying for middle school football and several club sports that parents are fully funding. We've increased facility rental fees, implemented cost containment efforts such as an effective energy management program that has avoided millions of dollars, qualify for the additional funding established by the legislature with the outlined best practices. The list goes on, Mr. Gutman.
Most importantly, and I know we're appreciative of this, all of our employees have given concessions that include both wage and benefit changes year after year. Our employees have changed prescription drug coverage, accepted additional costs for health insurance, given percentage wage reductions, taken furlough days, and they continue to work harder. These employee concessions truly demonstrate that our staff care about our children and they care about our community. The bottom line is, through a myriad of staff and program reductions and cost containment efforts, we've made nearly $55 million in cuts since the 01-02 school year. With the shortfall this year of between $6.5 and $7.1 million, our Board of Education is still required to submit a balanced budget to the state by June 30th, 2016. With the Board of Education administration and the assistance of you, Mrs. Less, your expertise, we want you to be aware of yet another list of potential cuts for the 16-17 school year. We do not want to make any of these reductions, and we hope you don't have to. However, we do need to have a balanced budget. These are painful reductions, once again, that will affect everyone: students, families, and staff. Mrs. Less, can you please review the list of potential reductions?
Yes, Mr. Gutman, this has been an extremely painful process. All of these potential reductions are equally devastating. We are very appreciative of the additional funding from the state, but it's not nearly enough to cover the loss of revenue from our declining enrollment and slightly increasing operational and utility costs. Some of the items include increasing class size at every level, cutting 1 assistant principal at each high school, 1 central office position, secretarial positions, paraprofessional positions, teacher reductions as a result of enrollment declines, generating funds through a Chinese exchange program, possibly closing the community education building and relocating most of those programs to other locations, and athletic reductions.
These reductions are obviously terribly painful, and we're very sad to have to even have a list like this. The totals, again, between $6.5 and $7.1 million. As a very important reminder, these are potential reductions and not certainties. Only for the purposes of discussing finances in the 16-17 budget, we are currently negotiating with our associations. As I've already said, our employees have taken significant concessions to assist in balancing the budget previously, and we could not be more grateful to them. We remain hopeful that our employee groups will work with us as they have in the past to ensure that we do not have to make the cuts that were just outlined. Mrs. Les, generally, will you share the cost factors for some employee concessions so we can be fully transparent with our community and with our employees?
Mr. Gutman, these are some of the general amounts for possible wage concessions. A 1% wage concession for all employee groups equates to approximately $1.1 million. Every furlough day equates to approximately $576,000.
As I've said a couple of times, our employee groups have been thoughtful, considerate, and have always sacrificed in the past. And we will, as always, have candid meetings with each of them to discuss these unfortunate potential budget cuts and how together we can come to a resolution. It is very important for our community to understand until the budget estimating conference in May, we do not know exactly what the revenues the district will receive from the state are. However, we must be prudent and we must plan to make reductions. Mrs. Les, thank you so much. As always, I appreciate your assistance in communicating this budget message.
Thank you, Mr. Gutman.
To summarize, Walled Lake Schools is reviewing reductions of between $6.5 and $7.1 million for the 16-17 school year. It is our goal to be transparent and to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to ask questions about the budget or anything they're not sure about. If you have a question, a suggestion, concern, thought, or praise, please feel free to share your ideas at budget@WLCSD.org. I appreciate our employees' commitment to working collaboratively to help us make decisions that are centered on what is best for every child, every day. And I am confident we will do this and get through this together.